we're all ready to go. Does this get taped? Want to make sure we. That's what I was wondering. You just say, hey. Jennifer's got a hey signal that works. You should check with her. Nope. You going to be presenting?
Very end.
Okay. Cool. All right. I call to meeting the special board meeting of Reclamation District 900. And most members are present. Trustee Orozco will be in shortly, but she will be in. And we will begin with the General Administration Part 1 on presentations by the public on matters not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the district. And the agency is prohibited by law from discussing issues not on the agenda brought to them at this time. Mr. General Manager, are there any requests to speak by the public? Don't see any.
There are no.
Thank you. Next is our monthly year-to-date revenues and expenses. Mr. General Manager?
So to date, revenues are almost 3.7 million. Expenditures are just under 1.6 million. That includes numbers for our capital improvement also. So next board meeting, I will separate out the capital improvement just to make it a little clearer.
Thank you. Are there any questions among our trustees? Questions? Move next to our consent agenda. I'll accept a motion to approve the consent agenda. And there aren't any requests to pull anything. I'll accept a second.
Early second.
Okay. I'll call a move. The early seconded. Okay. Mr. General Manager, please call the roll.
Trustee Alcala?
Aye.
Trustee Sulpicio Hall?
Aye.
Trustee Early?
Aye.
President Guerrero?
Item consent agenda is approved. Next is our regular agenda, Part 3, which is to consider establishing a budget committee for the review of the 2024-2025 budget. Mr. General Manager, can you please provide a report?
Sure. We're getting close to the new budget year. So July 1 is the new beginning. And so we need to start working on our budget. So as last year, we put together a budget committee consisting of 2 board members, myself and Mr. Fabian with West Safeca. And so I would like to take volunteers from the board for that committee.
Any volunteers? Yes?
Yes.
Trustee Early would like to volunteer. And how many? I think 2, right?
Yes.
2. Right. I don't mind volunteering as well. That's okay. Okay. The 2 of us. Do we need to take a vote on this, council?
You certainly can, yes.
Okay. That, accept the motion for Trustee Early and Trustee President Guerrero to be the budget committee for the review of the 2024-2025.
I'll make that motion.
A second. General Manager, get who and seconded. Mr. Pizio Hole. I'll call us. Yes. Please.
Trustee Alcala?
Aye.
Trustee Sulpicio Hall?
Aye.
Trustee Early?
Aye.
President Guerrero?
Aye. All right, that is approved. Next is our General Manager updates. Your General Manager.
First and foremost, I would like to introduce you to Erin McGillian, our new Assistant General Manager. She's been with us for a month plus now, so she's old hat and got this down. So prior to joining the district, 22 years in the Air Force and a degree in business management, sorry. So incredibly helpful right now on our HR and IT information. So there's lots going on with new laws and so on, workplace violence, and so she's already whipped out a policy that we're looking at. And we'll submit that to the board here in later months. But anyway, yeah, like you did, meet Erin, and she's been extremely helpful to date. So.
Thank you. Erin, would you like to share a few words with us, please? Hi.
There's a little button down there. Just once, and there you go.
There
You're
you
live.
go.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Like the general manager said, I am 22 years Air Force combat flight medic. I've
Wow.
retired now, owned my own business as well, a bakery,
Hmm.
and moved to the West Coast and making sure he's going to stay alive. But I'm just here to help in any capacity that I can.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Welcome.
service. Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Thank you so much, and I'll stop by and, we can chat at your office. Right.
So a few things, operation and maintenance wise. Again, we weathered another winter pretty much untouched. Didn't run into any real issues up until here about 2 weeks ago. We had a couple of pump stations that turned on us, and the Touchstone pump station, which helps with Touchstone Lake, actually one of the pumps ran nonstop, and we tried to drain the lake.
Sorry.
Fortunately, groundwater and a couple of storms filled it back up. But so if you get any phone calls, you'll know what happened now. Yeah, just what reads the water level went haywire, and we didn't catch it for a day. And actually, Yolo County called us and let us know that we had a problem with it. So, and then one of our pumps at our main pump station at the south end of town, we've got a circuit issue going on, so we're still troubleshooting that problem right now. We've got plenty of redundancy, so that's not an issue, but something triggered it to short out. We're working on that at this point. So city's been a lot of help too with helping us out. So they've got staff that worked with the electrical providers in the past, so they've been extremely helpful trying to troubleshoot these. So. Our Blacker Canal project is still ongoing with the Department of Fish and Wildlife. So we've had numerous meetings with them trying to negotiate mitigation costs and fees and so on. So originally, they really hit us hard with mitigation for the trees out there. So we've countered several times now, and we're waiting for their third or fourth response. So we're, again, shooting to at least start the project this year, but we're waiting for Fish and Wildlife to get back to us on that. So, and that's a grant that we have from FEMA. So we are running up against the deadline, but I've asked our consultants to ask for another extension on the time frame. DWR and the Army Corps still working on the slip outs that we had on the Deepwater Ship Channel back in 2023. They hope to go to construction this year. So I think originally they were thinking 25, 26 year, but they want to try to get things done much quicker this year. Unfortunately, we do have power lines that are running nearby. So if they request those to be relocated, the project could get delayed a little bit. So we'll see as the summer goes on how quickly they can get out there. Let's see. Still working with FEMA on the disaster of January of 23. Again, they're just overwhelmed with all the disasters that have occurred over the last 2 years. So we're still going back and forth. And I said the project manager for FEMA has about 15 different projects. So she is overwhelmed right now. And so it takes time to get back and forth. So we're still working on that. Met with the fire department here a couple of weeks ago just to talk about the fire season and mowing schedules. So both the city, RD900, met with the fire department to make sure everybody's taking care of high grasses, weeds, et cetera, in prone areas. So we're working on that. With that, the West Sacramento Area Flood Control Agency, I would like to turn it over to Paul Dirksen. He's got updates for West Safeco.
Good evening, President Guerrero and trustees of the RD900 board. I'm following in Greg Fabian's footsteps to try to give you an update about what's going on with West Safeco. We did include a two-page kind of fact sheet at the end of the general manager's report in your agenda packet this evening. Just as a reminder, in advance of the federal project, we completed 4 projects in the city. Our mission continues to be to try to deal with the worst areas prone to flood damage first. And so we worked through the CHP Academy, the rivers, the I Street Bridge, and then ultimately one of our largest projects ever, the Southport Levee Improvement Project. All of those together combined realize a $210 million investment between the city and the state. That is for crediting against the overall federal project, which is over $1 billion right now, as you know. Between 2019 and 2021, we received about $4 million from the Corps received about $4 million for the Sacramento project, and specifically working on the Yola Bypass East Levee project, both south and north. Last year, the Corps led the construction and completed the project for the Yola Bypass East Levee south. We're going to construction again this year, or the Corps is going to construction again this year. A contract has already been awarded. That work should occur starting May 1st. We'll start doing some investigations, and hopefully by the conclusion of the calendar year that they'll be able to wrap up. To date, we have received, or the project has received $154 million. And this year, the president's budget includes another $42 million, bringing us close to, very close, or just over, or close to $200 million that would be appropriated to the project. Let's see. So what's happening now? So I told you what we completed. I told you what we have planned for construction. We have another number of efforts that are going on with design with the Army Corps of Engineers. So presently, the overall investigation work is happening from along the Sacramento River, from the Sacramento Weir all the way to Stone Lock. And our particular emphasis right now is on what's called Segment 3, which goes from essentially just north of the Broderick Boat Ramp down to the Tower Bridge. So there's a significant amount of investigations that have already been conducted. Additional investigations are planned for this spring. The Corps is presently working on securing a contract to do some additional borings, both in the rivers project, on top of the levee over, you may know on top over by, I'm sorry, the levee road where there are lots that are actually waterward of the levee in the rivers. And so that will be going on over the course of this next year. In addition, later next year, we will also, or the Corps will begin a project of looking at the Stone Lock area. So this will be from where the Deepwater Ship Channel comes into the Sacramento River, kind of a little, the U shape, and what's going on with the locks. So we went through a design charrette earlier this year with the Corps, which was very successful. It will be including an element in that to allow for some water passage for water quality purposes and possibly the passing of Delta smelt. So that's pretty much, that's kind of what's going on. There's a lot of going on with just keeping focus and getting to the next level of design. The Corps has also conducted investigations for knowing what the design surface water elevation, and without getting too much into the weeds, but really it has to do with, there will be a couple of erosion contracts that will be let along the Sacramento River. There are some incidences of erosion along that west bank of the Sacramento River that affect West Sacramento. So those are being investigated and will go to design, or at least design will be initiated later this year, moving forward. So as we prepare to go to a cap, just a reminder, we want to support the president's budgets as well as the $600,000 that's afforded, or at least proposed in the president's budget for the master plan that's being carried out by the Corps for the Yolo bypass, which goes, which stretches from almost Sutter County down into the Delta, to the North Delta. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions among the trustees? Yes, Trustee Early.
Are you on the water resource team, or which team?
No,
are
I'll
you
be on the flood team.
The flood team, my bad. Is anyone from, okay, perfect. Oh, two. There's two of us from the flood team.
I'm going to have to get some water. I didn't see Norma's name on the flood team. Did you?
Yeah, I saw it today.
I didn't see her name, though.
Pretty sure I saw that in an email from Nicole today, but I'll double check if you'd like.
All right, perfect. Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure that we had representation, not only
We do
you, thank
actually
you,
have
but
representation,
yes,
for
yeah.
sure.
Well,
And, I mean,
yes.
There's a lot
Paul's our
of
expert.
meetings.
Yes.
There's a lot of meetings scheduled this year for flood, so.
Yes, not only,
it'll be-
but that's
it'll
actually
be
why
busy.
we need good representation,
Yeah.
because when you have a lot of meetings, sometimes those meetings are happening at the same time. And so divide and conquer.
Absolutely.
And also wanted to make sure, in addition to you, that obviously are my colleagues who represent the voice
Oh,
of the
yeah, she
community
is on
here
there. You're
are
right.
there. So,
I see her. She
Great.
is. Both of us are.
perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you.
Oh, you're not gone yet. Hold
Okay.
on. Anybody else have questions? Anybody else have any questions? Councilmember, I'll call you. You are on the flood team. Anybody? No? I do have a few questions. Thank you, Paul, for all these updates. This is very informative, and congratulations to us for being on the president's budget once again. It's
No kidding.
always a good sign. This isn't a guarantee, but it's always a good sign to continue. Now, the new start, new construction start, the total amount of the new construction start that we were approved for, what does,
So what happened I believe that's 2021? 2021. We received $25 million, I believe, that was appropriated, and I think there was also a little bit of money that was in the work plan that got added into, so the
I see.
Corps has a work plan that they that they set up. And they make a recommendation to headquarters, and then they also can set up a work plan for just, working capital for their staff. And I believe that both of those happened just after the new start.
is it related to the estimated amount for completing the entire levy work? And that it's that figure I'm trying to, I heard about $1 billion.
I don't think it's quite that, it's not that easy to explain, but what I can tell you is that, so they start looking, Sac River North, for instance, when I talked about going from the Weir to Stone Lock, the estimate therefore is like $400 million. And so it's uncommon to see all of that show up in a single appropriations bill. And so what they do is that they start saying, it's like, we think that you can the Corps makes a recommendation to headquarters and says, we believe that we will be able to activate this many staff and use this amount of funding. And I believe that that's kind of how they go about the budgeting, because they're not going to ask for the whole amount of money, because we can't go, it just doesn't work that fast, right? A levy project's going to take somewhere around 7 years from design to actually kicking off construction. So that's how I've observed it's been working. So they're loading up money in various different reaches of the entire West Sacramento project.
Okay.
Does that respond to your question?
Sort of. And then in looking at the additional work on projects and investigation, was that included as part of the new start, or was this in addition to? Like
I would say that every year the appropriations are going from one, so some of them are going to the current reaches in investigation, and some of that money then gets put into construction funding for future projects.
And then you identify which are the future projects.
The Corps tells us.
Core tells you. Okay. All right.
There's a collaboration. I don't want to say it's completely top-down,
course.
but generally speaking, when it comes to the budgeting, they have allocations to the various projects within the West Sacramento project.
Okay. And just for the, because I remember having a conversation after the signing ceremony on the process, on how this gets done. I'm trying to see if you wrote it down. So for construction, the Corps does the request for for getting the construction done, and then the next step is it gets done. It's not. So who actually is the partnership to establish the construction project?
So there are a couple of different approaches. So one would be that the Corps leads it and with their internal staff. And so they, so as the investigations come forward and the analysis come forward, and then they start they're putting lines down on the paper about what the proposed rehabilitation is. So the Corps may lead. Stone Lock is a little bit different, and so what the Corps has decided to do is that they're going to hire an AE firm, an architectural and engineering firm, to actually conduct the design. And so as that firm is also going through the analysis of all the different investigations and starting to do their initial design, there'll be constant touch points between that contractor, the Corps, and our team to make sure that they're staying on track, to make sure that they're doing what the fixes call for, or what the investigations reveal in terms of what a rehabilitation needs to happen. So those are the two courses that I've seen since we've become a federal project.
I see. Yes. I just wanted, the trustees.
No,
to be aware.
absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
All right. And does that conclude your general manager update?
That concludes the update.
All right. Any questions among the trustees for the rest of the updates? No? Okay. Trustee comments? No? Trustee comments? Okay. And I appreciate everything you're doing, Paul. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Early moves?
Second. Okay. Early moved and Trustee Orozco seconded. And Mr. General Manager, please call the roll.
Trustee Alcala?
Aye.
Trustee Orozco? Trustee Sapizio Hall?
Aye.
Trustee Early?
Aye.
President Guerrero?
Aye. We are now adjourned.